Welcome to Le Grand Voyage with Chateau Malartic La Gravière. I'm not going to talk about wine today, or at least not until the very end. I'm going to talk about the thing I had to get out of the bottle of wine in order to get to it, the humble cork. I haven't always used corks to stopper wine bottles. In fact, it was probably around the sort of early mid part of the 17th century. Before then, winemakers used to use an oily rag that they kind of stuffed inside the neck of the bottle. The problem was, as you can imagine, that what happened is the wine ended up rather smelling and tasting of the oil that was on the rag. Somebody had the bright idea of using a cork which was more neutral. In fact, it was a very bright idea because I met some Danish material scientists a few years ago and they explained to me that cork, if it's not unique, I think it's very unusual in that no matter which axis you manipulate it on, you can twist it and bend it and squish it, it maintains its volume. And in fact, it bounces back to shape very quickly. As you'll know, if you ever go and pull a cork out, it's very difficult to get the thing back in again. It expands out to fill the space. And it's been remarkably successful. Today, about 2/3 of all the cork that's produced in the world goes into wine bottles, and it's seen off lots of other inventions that have tried to take over its place. Perhaps most famously was the one invented in 1889 by a Yorkshireman from Barnsley, near where I come from, a man called Dan Rylands, and he invented the screw top. Now, some people have moved to a screw top, although wasn't anybody really in Bordeaux. Interestingly, there is a reason why, and it's a psychological one as much as anything else. Professor Charles Spence from Oxford University conducted a study where he opened 2 bottles of wine. And he opened behind the people he was studying, so all that they could do was hear the sound. They couldn't see what was going on. In half the cases, they heard the crunch of a screw top. In the other half, they heard the pop of a cork coming out of a bottle of wine. He then asked them to assess how much they thought that wine was. Remember, it was exactly the same wine. People who heard the pop of a cork thought it was worth about 15% more. That pop sound is actually worth money. It isn't just worth money, it actually makes the wine taste better in people's heads. That's one of the reasons why these are so amazingly persistent. They are also actually very good stoppers for bottles, and cork technology has advanced hugely in the last few years. So some of the challenges people associate with corks you don't really find nearly so much as you did in the past. I'm a great cork fan. Of course, we do have competition for the world's stock of cork. It's not just wine bottles that you find them in. In fact, one of the biggest competitors to go and buy up cork is the aerospace industry. Spacecraft almost universally have cork in them. It's the most amazing thermal insulator. You find it in things like helmets for doing spacewalks. It's very good at coping with the huge temperatures of not only going into space, but coming back down. And I know that the cork industry has recently had a number of orders for all our various missions to Mars that are taking place over the next year or so. It's quite something else. Anyway, enough of cork and back to drinking. And make sure you come back tomorrow where we'll be going and discovering some more interesting facts and stories and interesting tips on how to enjoy bottles of red Bordeaux. I very much hope I see you again then. Bye-bye.